What if your exhaustion isn't just person? What if the moment you stop pushing, stop experimenting, stop trying to grow something much bigger than you wins? Today we talk about burnout, about limits, about the people who stop and the people who don't, about what Ukraine of all places can teach the rest of the world about getting to get up. 1. The burnout trap. Burnout is not laziness. Let's be clear about that. Burnout is what happens when a person gives everything they have for too long without recovery, without meaning, without seeing results. And when it hits, the instinct is always the same. Stop, retreat, stay safe. Don't risk anything new. The comfort zone feels like recovery, but it's actually a trap, because a person stuck in a comfort zone stops experimenting, stops growing, stops pushing against their own limits, and they could not be happy. And here is the part of what this says about loud. Unexploited resigned population is the easiest population in the world to control. When people are too tired to question, too burned out, to resist, too comfortable to push back, power fills that vacuum instantly. This is not a conspiracy. This is history repeating itself. 2. The connection. Dictatorship don't just survive through fear, they survive through fatigue. Putin doesn't need every Russian to love him. He needs them exhausted enough not to fight back, overwhelmed enough to accept the narrative he gives them, to burn out from daily survival to ask difficult questions. The same mechanism works everywhere, not just in Russia. When ordinary people any country stop experimenting with new ideas, new ways of living, new ways of thinking, they become passive, and passive people don't chase things. The most dangerous citizen to any authorization system is a person who has recovered from burnout and start pushing their limits again, because that person has questions, creates things, connects with others, and refuses to accept that this is the simply things are. 4. The Ukraine lesson. Now think about Ukraine, a country hit with the ultimate burnout where destruction, loss, fear, exhaustion on a scale most of us will never experience. By every logical measure, Ukraine should have collapsed inward, should have stopped experimenting, should have accepted the limits imposed on it. Instead, the opposite happened. Ukraine built a drone industry from scratch. This is their entire government during active conflict, maintained culture festivals, open art expeditions, kept schools running underground, not because they weren't exhausted, they were, but because they discovered something that burnout survivors everywhere eventually discover. The recovery from burnout is not rest alone, it's finding a new reason to push. A mission, a community, a sense that your growth, however small, matters to something larger than yourself. 4. What this means for you. So what does this mean practically for everyone watching this, everyone in the world? If you are burned out right now, the answer is not to push harder immediately. Rest is real and necessary, but after the rest, the most important thing you can do is experiment. Try something you never tried. Learning something uncomfortable, connect with someone outside your usual world, push one limit, however small, and see what happens. Because every person who recovers from burnout and starts growing again becomes slightly harder to manipulate, slightly more independent, slightly more free, and a world full of people like this. That is a world where dictators run out of the room. I saw examples from people to Alaska which stayed on the sea with so low temperature, but is danger for probably everyone. They was trained, they pushed the limits, the fears. In Alaska, people learn about overcoming the fear, about patience, and about limits. Like example, no go to see the glacier in the winter, you could see it on the summer. Or the first Norwegian woman goes to the Everest, she pushed the limits, she was so tired, but reached because she had one scope, because she was fed up of jobs. Saturation of jobs help you to try to reach more challenging experiences. 5. Outro. Ukraine didn't win because it had better weapons. It survived because its people refused to accept the limits that were forced upon them. That same refusal applied to your own life. Your own burnout, your own comfort zone is more powerful than you think. Push, experiment, recover, grow. See you in the next one.